I never dreamt of something like this ever. I wanted to play for India. I wanted to play for a long time, but whatever's unfolded, whatever's happened, there is no chance. Like, I'm in disbelief always. Whenever I look back, I look at myself with my kit bag on my bicycle, like going to practice in the afternoon at 10 years
From
old.
that kid to now, when you enter ground, is there one thing that has always remained the same? You step onto the field?
Yeah, I never get late for practice.
Leading a nation, especially like India, it came to you at a time when you were already at the peak of your own prowess when it comes to batsmanship and performance. So kind of finding the balance between these two, whether they fed off into each other, help me understand mentally, what did it take? What did it take out of you? What did it do to you? What did it change? Were there times where you felt like these are the signs of burnout? And if so, how did you bring yourself back from it?
Actually, no one's really asked me this question ever. Because interestingly, I ended up being in a place where I became the focal point of our batting unit, and then I became the focal point of leadership. I didn't realize how much of load both those things will present in my daily life, to be honest. But because I was so driven and motivated to just make sure that Indian cricket stays on top, I didn't really pay attention to it. And that's precisely why by the time I left captaincy, I was completely spent. Like, there was nothing left in the tank to give. And I was completely consumed by it. So yes, it was gruesome. It was difficult to manage expectations of, okay, if you win, you don't score runs, then you're asked about your performances. And if you perform and you don't win, you're asked about the results. So I was always like juggling between the two and try to manage as best as I could. My prime focus was to make sure the team is secure, that insecurity doesn't enter the change room. And for that, I have to, of course, give massive credit to the management, Ravi Shastri and the team, and, all the coaches that I've worked with, to be able to take responsibility and maintain a culture or create that environment where nothing could filter into the change room. Once that door is shut, the outside noise goes away. I will defend the team with all my might and with everything I have in front of the world. And behind that door, I'll be brutally honest, because we want to improve. So you don't really go out there and start, throwing people under the bus. You don't do that. You take the hits. That's why you're being given leadership. And you come back and you lay down the expectations and give responsibility and ownership to each one to kind of, grow into their roles. So I was enjoying all of that for a long period of time, to be honest. That actually helped me to take focus off my own performances, and that helped me to play better. To a point where eventually when, the form doesn't quite stay for as long as possible, then yeah, both those responsibilities start weighing on you. So it was tough, it was gruesome, but thankfully, I'm made in a way that I want more and more responsibility and load, and I seem to be at my optimal best. It actually takes away all the distractions, if I have to be brutally honest. You have no time to think about yourself. And that's such a beautiful place to be in, because then you can play beyond your own insecurities and what you might be feeling on a particular day and perform beyond your limitations.
So who did think about you when you're talking about peak participation and captainship? Who thought about you? What was your outlet to just get you through those? We're not talking about a couple of years. We're talking about close to a decade when you were in that phase.
In the cricket world, it's very difficult for people to understand. The reason why you're given a leadership role is because people believe that you can take a lot more and you manage. That's why it's more of a managing job than, even coaching. I feel like it's more man management than teaching players how to play. Understanding the people that are playing with you, playing for you, and how to get the best out of them. So you have to constantly be in a space where you're not focused on yourself, as I said. You don't even think about whether someone's going to ask you, are you okay? Like, that thought even doesn't cross your mind. It was still in a space where I was captaining. Only when I left captaincy, I opened up and I shared more. And people, really, like Rahul Bhai and Vikram Rathore, for example. I've said this many times. I had a great run in Test cricket in 2023. And I always, whenever I see them, whenever I meet them, I always thank them, from the bottom of my heart, because they really took care of me in a way that made me feel like I want to play for them. I want to perform. I want to go out there. I want to grind it out. I want to, do the hard work for them because they were so caring and nurturing, and they made me realize what I have done so far, which obviously you can't sit down and think, oh, I've done this and that and I've scored so many runs. And as a player, not many people know you're always, you know, on a track where it's a very thin line between being cautious and being insecure. You always feel like you're never good enough. And that's the, imposter syndrome, if I may mention, that we always, like, even if I go to the nets today, I feel like at this stage, like these youngsters are watching. And if I have bad net session, they're going to be like, this is the guy who's been playing for 20 years. So that's always at the back of your mind. Like you have to keep up with your own standards. So they understood that because Rahul Bhai, of course, has done that, way better than a lot of people in Test cricket at the highest level. Vikram Rathore has been around for so many years. So they understood what I was feeling and they could relate to it. And they really took care of me mentally. So that really, put me in a space where I could enjoy my cricket again. But yeah, when I was in the thick of things, I never really felt like I wanted someone to ask me. I was pretty okay with managing everything. And I would, as I said, I would do it the same way over again.
You said now this is your daily life, eating good, working out, it's your daily life. But to get there, what did it take for it to become your normal life?
At the back of your head, you always feel like if you are not the best version of yourself every day in your profession, for me, of course, my physical condition, my fitness, my health is the most important thing. And that in turn, of course, helps me mentally. When you're fit, when you're healthy, you feel like you can do anything on the field. The responsibility that I had where I had to be at my best every day, even at training, because that's the way I like to operate. I would like to lead, like even fielding sessions or batting sessions, like I would do it with full intensity so that it relates to the players in a way that, okay, this is what he said in the meeting and now we're seeing it on the field. So if I'm not that version of myself every day, I lose the change room, I lose the players, and you can't afford to do that. And I would also like to say this because cricket is in such prime focus in terms of sports, in our country especially, you tend to neglect a lot of the other sports. We're not even 15% of the fitness of an Indian hockey player. If I have to be brutally honest, but they are not in focus. Like they look at our training, they'll probably laugh, but their sport demands way more. So I don't think it's a thing to be celebrated in a way that you think, oh, this guy is great or whatever. This should be a norm. That's how the culture of the sport goes up.
There is such a big conversation right now doing the rounds about how important it is for this generation to be all format players, or at least pay attention to red ball, or the way that you grew up admiring and loving red ball cricket as well. Can they do it? Because you maintained a 50 average across 3 formats. I mean, it's extraordinary to be able to do that. Can they do it? What will it take to be able to at least apply yourselves across 3 different formats?
It's the drive. It's a lot of people relate drive to money nowadays. It's not necessarily, for me, it's not the only factor. Yes, it's a big factor because when a format that gives you the hype and the recognition, the fame by scoring a 40 or a 50 of 20 balls and the kind of money that people can make in the IPL today, it can put you in a very comfortable space and say, you know what, this is brilliant. I don't need to handle pressure for too long. I can just go out there and smash the ball. Or you can say, I want to play for 15, 20 years. I want to get recognition and respect of the cricketing world, of my own heroes, and I want to fulfill this opportunity. That's a very different zone. You have to be very driven to be able to say, I'm going to commit to this for the next 10, 15 years. And it's going to be very, very hard, but I'm up for it.
I look at you and I always think, he's confident. He's a guy who knows what he's doing. Have there been stages where you're just kind of talking yourself into it before you actually are confident?
Many occasions like that. 2014 England tour was the toughest cricketing phase I've encountered. And I often speak about that because I was trying to be confident. Honestly, I was trying to be confident every day. Throughout that test series, I would wake up in the morning and I just knew I'm going to fail. And I could not even stop myself from playing. It was weird. I knew I'm going to play and I knew I'm going to fail. And I was like, how do I handle this? I haven't experienced this ever. when you're not playing, you have some space to work on your game, whatever. I was like, in 3 hours, I'd be at the crease and I know I cannot perform. How do I manage this? Because I can't go to the team management and say, nah, I don't want to play. Your competitive voice in your head is saying, you have to do it. You have to try and do it. But then the understanding is that, again, there's a very strong feeling that I'm not going to succeed today. So I went through that whole phase where I was trying to be confident. I was practicing hard, this, that, and the other. And then the test series finished. And I clearly remember we had an ODI series straight after. And I went to play the first game. And I was walking into bat. And the same kind of thoughts started. I was confident, prepared well, white ball cricket, whatever. I was walking into bat and I literally, my legs started shivering again. I was like, I prepared so well for the last 5-6 days and I'm approaching the crease and my legs are shaking. Like, I was in disbelief. I took guard and before the bowler could start running in, I promised myself one thing. I'm going to try to hit every ball out of this ground. And in a way that to, kind of break the shackles mentally. And I got out for 0, but I smashed the ball to the fielder at mid-off. And while I was walking out, I felt so good. I was like, that's because I was so desperate to take that chance. Although it was still a failure, but I knew mentally that something had switched. The results were not immediate. I experienced the results 5 months later. But my mind went back to that moment, and it always goes back to that moment.
Congratulations once again for playoffs, yet another playoffs. A chance to do that. How exciting to be on this journey. It's brilliant. This is new era. How exciting is it to be part of that setup again and be on this rush again?
Yeah, great. That's exactly what you turn up for. That's exactly what we set out to achieve. And we've done it. And without any doubt or hesitation at all through the whole journey within the group. We've always maintained our focus on what we can do. And our motto is pretty simple this tournament. The basic tagline is, it's okay. When you win, it's okay. It's part of the job. When you lose, it's okay. On to the next one. So fingers crossed. The team's playing well.